before we begin. Fun little fact. I got to be in the Mulan musical when I was a wee little teenager, and I was cast as the perfect part.
My manly ways and turn of phrase are sure to thrill her.
Oh yeah. It's great. Hello everyone, welcome to Film Fireside. I decided to try something a little bit different today. Film critics doing this on like Letterboxd and elsewhere, and I was like, this is a fun idea, I want to try it. As most of you know, the live-action remake of Mulan was supposed to be released this last weekend. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, so I thought it might be fun to try and review the 1998 film. As I was pulling it up to watch it again, I began to do an analysis of it, not just a review. So I'm doing something a little different for me. I mean, a little different. This is the 9th video on the channel. I don't have that much content yet. But something I wasn't necessarily planning on doing with this channel, and we'll just gonna try it and see if it works. I'm gonna straight up analyze this movie as well as review the film. See how this works? There's a lot of stuff to analyze. I really enjoy analyzing movies. I don't do it all that often because it's really time consuming. But you know what? I started, went down the rabbit hole, so we're just gonna do it for this time just because why the heck not? At the beginning of the film, when the Emperor is informed that the Huns have invaded China, he puts out a decree or an order requesting that more soldiers be recruited for the army. When the commanding officer contradicts this statement by saying he has enough soldiers, the Emperor's response is,
"I won't take any chances, General. A single grain of rice can tip the scale. One man may be the difference."
After this, we immediately cut to Mulan, who is holding a single grain of rice. Very interesting. Mulan is the grain of rice that is intended to tip the scale, and her fate and destiny is foreshadowed in this very moment. Ultimately, she is the sole reason the Hun army is defeated. Her split decision to charge courageously and single-handedly against the Hun army with just one cannon changed the game completely. She literally single-handedly wipes out the entire Hun army. Her role in saving the Emperor from doom is also essential. After she is abandoned by the troop because it is discovered that she is in fact a woman, she is able to witness the surviving Huns pop out of the snow
Like daisies!
and start heading towards the city. Therefore, she then gives them the upper hand again with that knowledge of an attack happening. And it is her plan that saves the Emperor from death. There is another way this film lets us know that she is the rice that will tip the scale, very literally and very humorously. When she first enters the camp, she meets Yao, Ling, and Qin Po. After an exchange, a brawl ensues. And because of her being there, a literal chain reaction happens where all these soldiers get knocked down, and that all goes down and tips over a big pot of rice. The film calls our attention to the opening statement when Captain Shang gives this order.
Okay, gentlemen. Thanks to your new friend Ping, you'll spend tonight picking up every single grain of rice.
You know, I gotta say, it's just too bad that this film just really encourages women to ignore their womanly ways, and that the real way to success is to be a man. It's too bad. Or is it? After all, there is a huge contrast that exists within that statement, be a man. There is actually a huge contrast in the reprise of this song. As the reprise bellows, be a man, we see Yao Ling and Qin Po dressed as women climbing the pole to the palace to execute Mulan's plan she has to save the Emperor. I have a lot of thoughts on this. First, let's just talk about Mulan's problems. One problem that she genuinely has, she just genuinely lacks control of her body. She's very clumsy, and we'll get to that eventually. Other problems she has isn't necessarily anything to do with her specifically, but really the main problem she has is the inability she has to mold herself into the gender roles that are required of her. Not just as a woman, both. When she is trying to mold herself to be a man, she has trouble fitting those gender roles as well. We see a wonderful contrast of just disastrous, socially awkward things happening when she is meeting with the matchmaker.
Reflect before you snack. Act.
And when she first meets Captain Shang.
You know how it is when you get those manly urges, and you just gotta kill something.
In the end, however, these two things that exist don't really serve to be a problem for her and don't really make a difference on the outcome of the film. Her being able to mold herself into either the perfect woman or the perfect man does not help, nor does it allow her to bring honor to her family, which is a main goal of hers throughout the film. So if that's the case, why is there a big-ass musical number called I'll Make a Man Out of You with a bellowing men chorus singing Be a Man throughout the process? And not only is this number singing Be a Man, the montage, the thing that's happening during the song in the film, is an amazing growth journey for Mulan, where she begins to take new steps towards growth and improvement and helps her become a brand new person. Is the film suggesting that she needs to be manly and that this whole montage is about her really finding out what it means to be a man? Let's just talk definitions for a second. A simple Google search allows you to see perhaps what this song is actually suggesting. When you search Google for man definition, the first definition is what our society and what our modern culture typically thinks of the man definition, and that is an adult human male. However, if you look at the second definition, there is another definition and meaning to the word man that isn't really used anymore. It is a much older way the word man was used. Very specifically, it's used this way in the Bible. The definition is a human being of either sex, a person. So really, I mean, I guess the song, it's not as catchy to sing Be a Person. Must be swept as a chorus, sing Be a Person. Not as catchy. The other thing too, if you look at the word human, the word man is still within that word. So it seems to me that the actual root of this word suggests more or less to be an overall encompassing definition of human species, of our kind, male and female, rather than to distinguish a man or a male. So to be a man means to be us, to be a person, to be a species, to be who we are. So what does the word woman mean? Again, if we search Google and look further down at the origin of the word woman, we see that in Old English, woman is a derivative of withman, which basically means the wife of a man. Now that is interesting for a few reasons. In this context, if the definition of a woman is wife of man, then Mulan is really struggling with that role. And for her to be a woman, that's not really helping her situation right now. She doesn't need to worry about fulfilling her role as the wife right now. That's not serving her. She's not ready to do that. I guess she has some stuff she's got to figure out first. Actually, very clearly she has some stuff she's got to figure out first. She has some things she's got to do first. She's got to save her father from death. She's got to save China. This isn't the path for her at the moment. For now, the end of the film, it kind of suggests that after things have settled, she is ready to step into that, or potentially start looking to step into that role with perhaps Captain Shang. So what are the things Mulan has to figure out? On the very first day of training, Captain Shang presents to them an exercise of sorts. He shoots an arrow at the top of the pole and asks all the soldiers to try and achieve the arrow. All try, and they all fail. But before they all try to achieve the arrow...
One moment. You seem to be missing something. This represents discipline. And this represents strength. You need both to reach the arrow.
If we go back and look at Mulan's struggles, and also one of her strengths, this is very interesting, the fact that Shang describes these two tokens this way. It's really interesting that these two are defined, one as discipline and the other as strength. Mulan, I feel like, has shown numerous times throughout this film that she has strength. She has this inner strength. She's very assertive. She speaks her mind. She does what she needs to do. She's courageous. She's brave. She's got that strength. It drives her. It's literally driven every decision she's made so far. However, does she have discipline or even control of her body, hence the clumsiness? Also, another way this film shows that she perhaps lacks discipline is in her consistent tardiness throughout the film.
It's freezing.
It would have been warm if you were here on time.
Looks like our new friend slept in this morning.
And now it's important to be very clear. None of these problems she has is because she's a woman. What's really cool about this is, again, all try and all fail similarly, and they all fail in their own way. And this whole montage of them training and working together and overcoming their weaknesses, they're all in the same playing field for the most part. No one's really having a struggle more so than others. You can see Mulan's really struggling with physical activity and certain things. She's starting to get worn down, but others have their struggles as well. They all have their weaknesses. They're all trying to get through this together. There is a beautiful thing that happens. After she gets sent home, she attempts to try and reach the arrow one more time before she leaves. She has a revelation of sorts and realizes that the two weights, discipline and strength, are interwoven together. And that gives her the support necessary to climb the tree. Discipline becomes interwoven with her already given natural inner strength. And she is now stronger and has a more strong hold because of that on herself and on her situation. As she climbs the poles, other members of the army come out and start witnessing it. And as they witness this very awesome scene of, well, they don't know it, but of a woman who is overcoming and becoming stronger, they are inspired. I think their inner strength is increased at this time. If we listen to the words of Be a Man, we can remember that, so the words are, be a man, we must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Nothing about that says you gotta be man or a woman to do that. So yeah, it would make sense that we're saying be a man, not in the sense of be a male, but be a person. Be the best you can be. As she gets these two tokens intertwined and gets that strength, a rebirth or maybe a revelation ensues as we see her climb her way into the morning light, out of the shadows into the morning light that shines down on her. One more really subtle thing that suggests this. Not many people recognize this. You have to listen to the music. Once she reaches the top of the pole and shoots the arrow down, a new tenor part, really high tenor part, is added into the Be a Man chorus. For the first half of the song, the male chorus that's accompanying Donny Osmond in this song, I don't hear anyone maybe singing above middle C. For those of you who don't know, that means they're all singing very low. And after the fact, her training sticks. I don't recall an instance from this point forward where we see her having a moment of clumsiness. The film suggests, through the lack of clumsiness that comes from Mulan moving forward, that she has overcome this, that she has grown, that she has changed, that she has become a better version of herself, the best version of herself that she can be. This film is based on an ancient Chinese poem entitled The Ballad of Mulan, dating way back. The stories are very similar. Mulan is gone with the army for 12 years instead of after her time is over and she's not needed anymore. Instead of accepting a position or other rewards, she just asks for a swift horse so that she may return home to her family. She's given that. She changes back into her old clothes and puts on makeup, and all of her fellow soldiers are astonished that they spent 12 years with Mulan and had no idea that she was a woman. The very last lines of this poem are spectacular. I think these lines of the poem perfectly captures what the film is trying to suggest, at least to me anyway. The lines of the poem are, "The buck bounds here and there, whilst the doe has narrow eyes. But when the two rabbits run side by side, how can you tell the female from the male?" There's just a vagueness, a simple observation based on nature, the natural order of things, and just how they exist, not based on anyone's decision. So, here's the question. Are we as human beings, are we bucks and does, or are we rabbits? The answer, yes. I think the thing this part of the poem, these last few lines of the poem makes me think of, it makes me think about expectations, and maybe more specifically, misplaced expectations. It is not expected of a buck to be a doe, nor is it expected of a doe to be a buck. Similarly, it is not expected of rabbits to be different from each other based on their sex. Let's go back to the observation made earlier, the fact that the term man can be a gender-neutral term, when we talk about rabbits, there isn't a common, or at least I don't know of a common, I'm sure there is one, but not commonly used word to distinguish between female rabbits and male rabbits. As the saying goes, everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will live its whole life thinking that it's stupid. Mulan really struggles and has a hard time feeling like she's doing the right thing, and maybe even feels stupid from living in a world and in a society that expects and even forces doe-like behavior from a rabbit. The other thing I love about this end little quote here of the poem, this also suggests there's nothing wrong with buck distinctions and doe distinctions. There is nothing wrong between the fact that there are differences between men and women. The problem is, and the problem exists, when we try to make distinctions that aren't there, similar to distinctions between two rabbits. There are buck traits and there are doe traits, and I think there's a lot of joy in life in discovering rabbit traits. Boy, that was fun. I love analyzing film. I get way too into it, as maybe you noticed. Mulan is one of my absolute favorite Disney movies. This is a staple amongst all the Disney classics for me. It always has been. It's always just been a part of my life. I always frequent this film. It's a great film. I don't really have many flaws with this. I think some of the humor is distracting and maybe even misplaced sometimes. That's really my only problem with the movie. Things about this movie I enjoy, the soundtrack, or excuse me, not the soundtrack, the musical score for this film is stunning. The part where she decides and makes the decision to go and join the army, the amazing score that is just underlying the intensity of that decision and the weight of that decision is just beautiful and serves the story so well. One of the things I love about animated film, storyboarding is an absolute must when it comes to making an animated film. You have to storyboard. There's literally no other way to make an animated film. The amount of work and the amount of very particular choices that exist within shots of animated films are very beautiful, and it's really cool that you can give so much attention to detail. I love animated films. I give Mulan a 9 out of 10. Great movie. On Disney Plus. Go watch it. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think? Should I do more analysis videos? I would love to. They are time consuming, like I say, so I definitely won't do this for every movie, but if you like them, I'd love to analyze other films. Also, what is your analysis of Mulan? What are your thoughts on things? Are there aspects of the film that I miss? Are there symbolisms? Are there things that stick out to you about Mulan that I missed that I didn't talk about? I'd love to hear and learn from you as well, so comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Bye-bye.